So you're thinking about launching a candle brand. Well, then you're in the right place, because over the next 10 to 12 weeks, I am going to create and launch a completely separate, brand new candle business that is separate from the Garsnett Beacon Candle Company that myself and my husband, Chad, created about 3.5 years ago and has now passed $1.2 million. We're going to start completely from scratch with a whole new brand, and I want you to go on the journey with us. So now, if you're part of the Candle Business Pro Inner Circle, you're going to have worksheets and templates to help guide you through this. But if you're just watching or listening to this and you're not familiar with us or part of our inner circle inside of Candle Business Pro, completely fine. You're going to get tons of knowledge from this. And at the end of this series, which is going to be about 10 to 12 weeks long, you're going to have a solid ground to launch your own candle business. So we're excited to have you along with us. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Tuato. Tuato Wax Melter partnered with us to bring this series to life. So Tuato is a wax melter brand that has been with us for quite some time. We started with other brands of wax melters on our journey. And once we discovered Tuato, we were set. And now that we have 3 stores, we use the Tuato melters in all 3 of the stores. We don't need any other melter to run our business with. They're fantastic. Their customer service is great, and they're affordable. So in the links below, I do have a link for you to use to go out and check them out. You'll also get a discount by using that link. So let's get into this. So the way we're going to do this series is every week for the next 10 to 12 weeks, based on how long it takes to get this business off the ground, we are going to do basically a recap. I am going to share with you everything that I did that week and tell you the steps for you to take so that you can follow along and do the exact same thing. So that in 10 to 12 weeks, you should also be able to launch a brand new candle business. So this first week, I like to call this laying the foundation for your candle brand. The guiding theme is going to be clarity comes first. Know who you're building your brand for before you start pouring those candles. Now, of course, many of us have already made candles, and we're coming back to this because we might be struggling with launching a candle brand. I completely get it because we did the same thing. When we first started our candle business, we turned it on online. And we did have friends, family, those that knew us that had been following the journey to support us. They, purchased from us. But after about a week, that all died off. And then there was crickets. There was nothing. Luckily, we were able to do markets, and then we were able to do wholesale through those winter months. And then we ended up actually opening our brick and mortar store about 4 months later, 4 or 5 months later, after our first candle sale. So we did move quick. However, looking back and how we run our business now, you really have to have a solid foundation of who you're making candles for. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So the first step is discovering your niche in your target market. Now, the candle industry isn't too saturated, but you need to stand out. So you've got to define your niche. Now, how do you do that? What do you want your candle brand to be known for? What kind of experience do you want your candles to create? Here's some examples: emotional, healing, cozy comfort, luxury gifting. What's going to make your candle brand different from others? Are there certain themes or causes or ideas that you feel deeply connected to and you want your brand to reflect? Some examples of that would be mental health, eco-friendly, sustainability, resilience, activism, spiritual grounding, design-forward living, luxury. These are all different areas that you can connect with your niche and defining that for your customer. Are you a stay-at-home mom that is going crazy? You have tons of kids and you've got responsibilities, and there's going to be a niche of people that can relate to that. Or are you a world traveler that stays in all of these high-end luxury resorts and you want to capture that scent and you want to build a brand around that? You can build a brand around a sports theme, candles. You can do all kinds of niches. So take some of these ideas and think about something that you're truly and deeply connected to. Do you want cozy farmhouse cottage? Stick with a theme, a niche, and you dial that in so deep that when people see your brand, when they visit your website, they know exactly, is this candle for me or is it not for me? They should know right away from looking at the aesthetics, the entire picture of your brand without reading anything. They should be able to know, is this brand for me or not? And that's when you know that you have a specific targeted niche. Now, For us, I'm going to give you a little bit of what our niche is going to be. So for our new brand, we're going to go for a bold, unapologetic brand. We're going to use scent as a form of emotional release, identity expression, and resistance. We're going to do all of this without sacrificing any aesthetics or quality. So we're going to make high quality candles for this. The kind of experience that we want people to feel, we want the candles to feel like a voice, a mirror, kind of a battle cry. We want a reflection of themselves in these products that we're going to put out. It might seem like, how is that possible? But I think on this journey over the next 10 to 12 weeks, we're going to be able to relate what some of this is. So most brands out there, they're going to focus on that generic relaxation, eco-friendly, sustainability. And I didn't mention those as examples, but that in itself is such a saturated market. Our brand is going to try to challenge that norm. I'm trying to be rebellious a little bit in this new brand, and I'm looking at some of the notes and some of the stuff that I have in my mind to share about this new brand with you. And we are really going to be deeply rooted in value and intention with this brand. We want to be able to connect with someone on a lot more personal level than what we do with our current brand. Our current Garsnett Beacon Candle Company brand, while is successful, we have that brand is very community focused. We are very local focused. We do a ton of work in our community, and that's what supports our candle brand. That in itself is somewhat of a niche because we are basically the candle brand of Western Michigan or the Lake Shore of Michigan. Because people know us, we are volunteering, we are giving donations and sponsorships to all kinds of events. That's what's gotten our brand the recognition, and that's perfect. And that's a way that we have made a great life for ourselves, that we can work for ourselves. But with this new brand, I am thinking nationally, so I can't rely so much on local community support and to grow this business. So we're gonna have to look at it a little bit different. But with this brand new brand, we are going to get deeper with our customers. So a bit ago, I asked, are there certain themes or causes or ideas that you feel deeply connected with? For us, we are going with unapologetic self-expression, mental health, LGBTQ plus rights, community-centered activism, and the idea that softness and strength can coexist. That is the theme of our niche that we're going to build this entire brand around. So let's see what it ends up being at the end. Of course, some of this is going to adjust as we go through this. We're not putting anything in concrete today, but we now can take this and build out the rest of our brand with these intentions in mind. So the next thing we have to do is define our target market. So once we have a niche, we understand the types of candles we are making. Who is that person that's going to buy that candle? And you have to define that person in and out. You have to understand who they are, how they live, what they do. So here are some questions to think about to understand who that person is. What values are most important to them? Some examples are going to be that sustainability, self-care, inclusivity, community focus, justice, creative, rebellious. What do they do with their free time? Do they like to journal? Do they like to bake? Are they working full time? Are they creating art? Are they going to markets? Are they just scrolling TikTok? And then also, where do they shop? What other brands do they love outside of candles? And then also, how much are they willing to spend for a candle? So here's the thing. If you're building a candle brand around a customer that's only spending, let's say, $10 or $12 for a candle, most likely that's not going to be sustainable for you. Because when we're first starting, we are making candles that are going to cost $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a candle because we're not a massive company that's buying in such bulk that we're getting our prices down to where it's a $2 or $3 candle, like what possibly say Bath and Body Works or Yankee might be making, right? So I'm not saying that their candles are cost that little to make, but I'm saying if your customer is only spending $10 for a candle, you can't make a candle for $8 and it be sustainable as a brand. That's just not a reality. So once we look at that target customer and realize what they're spending on a candle, you might have to pivot. You might decide, oh, that customer isn't buying my candles. And think about when we see candle makers that get frustrated when they see say Walmart or Target or TJ Maxx or these big box retailers where they have candles for sale for $5. And they're saying, how in the world am I ever going to have a sustainable candle business when I'm competing with $5 candles? Well, you're not competing with $5 candles unless you're competing for that customer. If you're going after that customer that buys their candles at Walmart or Target or TJ Maxx or wherever you're finding that price point, well, then yeah, that's the problem. But if you're going after a different customer with a different niche, that's how you're going to be successful. So people would ask, as far as pricing candles out for like markets, we were always the most expensive candle out at the markets on the weekend, and that was fine. Our candles are different. Our customers are different, right? They could be the same vessels, same oils, same wax. Customers not going to understand any or know any of that unless they're a candle maker themselves. But who we're trying to target with our branding, our design, our layout, that is what is going to draw in our customer, and it's what's going to help you draw in your customers. So the other things to think about is what kind of visual messaging is going to relate to that customer. Because we're going to need to create social media assets. We are going to need to have emails that we're going to create, and it has to sound like an email that they want to read. The way that I would send an email to, let's say, my 15-year-old nephew or my grandmother, or a coworker. These are all going to be different kinds of emails, and it's all because there's going to be different kinds of words that I'm going to use when I'm talking to them. So you need to know the messaging for that type of customer. Also, be sure to think about what's going to turn that customer off. What is it something that you might do that they would not like? If you're going for a minimalistic home decor lover, if you are putting out something that's way too glittery, right? Something super shiny, way too glittery, is that going to turn them off? Are they going with classic instead of traditional or modern instead of farmhouse, right? What is it that they would not like? So think about that a little bit as well. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is write a mission statement, define our values, and also explain what our why is. So this is going to be the heart behind our brand, that it's just more than candle making. Now, here's a quick template for you to use for your mission statement. We exist to what you do, for who you serve, so they can outcome or transformation that you're going for. Let me read over what my mission statement is here that we've started with. Now, again, this is going to change as we go through the building out of this business. But to start, here is the mission statement that we came up with. We exist to create unapologetic, values-driven candles for empaths, creatives, and justice-minded individuals so they can feel seen, empowered, and boldly connected to their truth without permission. So that is our mission statement that we're starting with. So that's going to relate to specific customers, and it explains why we are doing this. It's showing you that we are values driven for specific people. After that, we need to define what our brand values are. So you're going to want to choose, say, 3 to 5 of these. Write these down. After you write down your mission statement, you're going to want to write down 3 or 5 values because we're going to want to put all of this together here at the end. So some example of values are going to be authenticity, liberation, eco-friendly, community-focused, mental health advocacy, boldness, sustainability, ritual, emotional honesty. So those are all different values that you can have. Now for our brand, we are going to go with the 5 that I chose is emotional honesty, liberation, radical care, collective uplift, and defiant expression. So if you're seeing after reading my mission, understanding who my niche is, who my target audience is, you are going to start to see this brand come together. The next thing we have to do is define our why. So in 2 to 3 sentences, we need to explain why we felt called to create this candle brand. Why are we doing this? This is like, what is your motivation? And it's going to help you shape your story. So this is the prompt for you to use is going to be what personal experiences or frustrations led you here? Who are you making your candles for really? For us in this new brand, it's going to be right now, our why is that most candles on the market, they feel surface level and they're disconnected from what people are actually going through. I created this new brand for those who feel deeply, who care about justice, and who are tired of minimizing themselves to fit in. So these candles are a form of protest, affirmation, and self-connection These are built for anyone who's ever feel like they've had to dim their light just to belong and to fit in. So that is why we're creating this new brand. If you're inside of the inner circle, we talk a little bit more about this, a little bit about our journey, some of the things that really are important to myself and my husband Chad, and we want to create a brand that is for that person. And so defining our why is really going to help shape the direction we go. Now, you can do this with any type of niche. Once you have your niche, once you have your target audience, you're then going to do these three things. You're going to write your mission statement. You're going to create and choose your brand values. 3 to 5 of those are fine. And then you're going to define your why. So step 3 is that we have to now name our brand. Now it's optional for now. You don't have to have a brand name already picked out, but understanding who your audience is and what niche you want to be in, that should hopefully start to build some clarity around what you should name your brand. And this should start help giving you some ideas there. Now, so a couple tips here, don't rush. Build clarity first. Make sure that you have that niche and target completely understood in and out. Then you can align that with your values, your tone, and your target. Start to brainstorm some words or phrases that might evoke the brand's emotion. And, what is your customer using? How is your customer speaking? Pull from that some words and start to put that together. You can certainly use like ChatGPT or AI, but I really think that naming your business is going to be really personal. And does it have to relate to your customer? Not necessarily. It can be something that on the surface doesn't necessarily connect, where people may not understand it. But those that know, if that makes sense. And that's kind of a way of bringing people in even closer and building those super fans. So for us, we named our new candle brand without permission. So we are building a product for that person, that empath, that creative person, that person that gives love and care for their neighbor just as much as they do themselves, and that want to resist when they see others being hurt in whatever capacity that might be. So that is what we are building this brand around. Now, that might not resonate with other people. You might just think, oh, I'm just trying to put a candle out there to sell to people that like minimalistic home decor. That's fine. We're going to go really deep with our candle brand. And if you're in the inner circle, we talk about that quite a bit, about some of our why and what we're trying to do. But so that is going to be our candle brand. Now, again, you don't have to have one named today. You can take some time, but I really work on putting meaning behind it. I think that's going to make your brand be more successful, because when people see this candle now that says without permission on it, and then they see the visuals that go along with it, they're going to really understand that we're putting something together that they are going to relate to or relate with. And again, it's not going to be for everyone. We want everyone to want our candles, of course, but we're not targeting every single person. And you're definitely going to see some of that throughout some of the advertising and the marketing and some of the copy that we're going to be using for this new brand. So by excluding some people, it's okay. So the last step for the week is to create a mood board. So that's the homework that I have for you. Create a mood board. You can do this inside of Pinterest, inside of Canva. This is putting together the visuals that are going to reflect your future candle line. So this is going to be colors, fonts, aesthetics, different quotes that you love to read, spaces that you like to be in, and also the people. What kind of people are going to be buying your candles? This is going to set the tone for your packaging, your vibe, your scent mood. What you don't want to do is you don't want to just copy what someone else is doing. You don't want to just copy someone else's aesthetics unless you're actually aligning with that target. Then you can make your own modified version of that brand. But you really want to make sure that you're aligning with it, with what your niche is going to be, so that you can understand, you can relate to it, right? So I'm not trying to put out a, Gucci line of candles because I can't relate to that. So hopefully that, resonates with you. You want to put together a mood board of all different types of things that you like and see where the cohesion of those is going to cross over, so that you can put out a brand that makes a lot of sense. You don't have to stick to just 2 or 3 colors. We are actually going to have several colors in our brand that we are going to be able to choose from. So don't feel like you have to just do like say black and white. Get more creative. There's lots of tools out there to set up a mood board, but I think just doing it inside of Canva or Pinterest is going to be completely fine. So your homework is I challenge you to build your mood board and then write a paragraph that describes that vibe that you're going for. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to end up bringing all of this together. So you're going to bring in your niche, your target market. You're going to bring in your mission, your values, and then you're going to bring in this mood board, and you're going to create an entire brand with all of these things in mind. And what's going to happen is over the next several weeks, all the decisions that we make is going to be based on everything we did this week. So this week we set a foundation. Once you have all of this together, then every decision that we make, from the supplies we choose, what we can spend to create our new product, from the marketing, the advertising, all that stuff that we do going forward is going to be based on what we did this week. So it's really important to get this week's foundation set so that we're going to have a successful next several weeks together. So thank you so much for being here. Again, a big shout out to Auto for assisting and putting this together for us. Again, there is a link to their website below where you can actually save an additional amount of money on top of any sales that are possibly going. So it is a unique link for you to click on. And if you have any questions for myself, put them in the comments below. Come and join us in our Facebook group, or just visit candlebusinesspro.com where you're going to get all kinds of information. You can actually come and join us inside of the inner circle as well. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.